Hope bigger than a hell ring. Things like you heard on the decks. Glover hold the court, give the chief no suspect. Politics in the mix, like Double Stewart Rich. Spinning tales from Black Wall Street, real life's the pitch. Johnny Glover Show, be more news. Johnny Glover Show, be more news. Welcome to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. How you doing, man?
Man, feeling well, man.
What's your name?
My name is Cardi Cornish.
And you a legend?
I'm a legend.
You're a legend here in Baltimore City. Where we at right now?
We live in the 17 Pennsylvania Avenue. The legendary Pennsylvania Avenue.
Man, the last time I saw you here, you were doing something just across the street here. What were you doing?
Oh, yeah, I had some food left over from an event. We brung it out. We fed a couple of people, man.
Why you do that?
Nice soul food.
Why you do that?
Man, the love that God has shown me in Christ, man, it overflows. That's how it overflows.
Yes, sir.
We got more than we can use. We got more than we can handle ourselves. We try to let it flow. Let it flow to the next person.
Yeah. We're proud of you, man.
Thank you.
And we're proud of your son.
Thank you.
You're watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. Business six hotter than lava. Got that Midas touch. Stocks and blocks teaching youngins how to clutch. Ears to the concrete, finger on the pulse, dropping wisdom like Hova. Each word a joke. Johnny Glover Show, be more news. 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 Walls painted black, history on lock. Blast off from Tulsa, rebirth like a clock. Markets rising from ashes to gains. Dying the narrator, truth runs in veins. Johnny Glover Show, be more news. 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 I'd like to welcome you to the show. First name's Donnie, last name's Glover, in it to win it for the long haul, baby. John Rydell, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Donnie?
Good. Thank you for your patience. How was your day?
Sure. Pretty good. It wasn't 100 degrees like maybe tomorrow or Friday, but that's okay. Everything's fine.
John, how long have you been covering politics?
Well, it goes back probably 40 years in radio at WCBM Radio, and then Maryland Public TV, later Channel 45 for many years. Always wound up in Annapolis covering, William Donald Schaefer's mayor and governor, and Harris Glendenning, and all the rest, Martin O'Malley, and quite a list.
Did you mention WCBM?
WCBM in the early to mid 80s was a news talk station. Nothing like it is today.
Oh, nothing like today. You won't claim today, huh?
Well, I've been gone from that station for years. It was a different ownership. It was owned by Metro Media, which no longer exists anymore. So that was you. We all got laid off, I think in the summer of 1985. But that happens in radio a lot. They change formats, and everybody loses their jobs, and then you wind up somewhere else. So we all survived.
I was at WCBM. I did some subbing for Tom Moore.
Okay.
You ever met Tom?
Yeah, years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's. I think he's still there. I'm not sure. Listen, we have with us, joining us from the West Coast, Doug Blacksher. Doug, you still with us?
Absolutely, here in the beautiful city of Oakland, California, downtown Oakland, 3 blocks away from City Hall, where I go down there with a baseball bat and put them in and make sure they do their job.
Good deal. How's your day going, Doug?
Well, fortunately, I just got out of the doctor's office. I was thinking that when you said 6, you were talking about 6 Oakland time, but I got to remember when you say 6, it's East Coast time. But to that end, Donnie, I want to start off by saying thank you for having me on the show today. I've taken the camera off me and I'm panoraming around so people can see how beautiful this city is, the opportunities that we have, but the politicians, and not all of them, but quite a few of them who have not done their job. one of which was recalled. The mayor, Shane Tao. She was recalled and under indictment for some alleged activities that were not ethical. But to that end, I want to thank you for all the work that you do in the community for politics, businesses, and neighborhoods and communities. So keep up the great work. Thanks for having me on the show today.
So you don't have Barbara Lee with you, the new mayor today?
Barbara Lee, let's get right into that. She's doing an outstanding job. She's fixing things that needed to be fixed. She's bringing in over 50 years of dedication to community and making our city run better. Right now, we have a city that's in politically that is in chaos. The good thing I can say about it is we have jumped a hurdle with the the African American Sports and Entertainment Group with Ray Bobbitt. They've just been approved for Alameda County to buy the Coliseum to start their $5 billion project to renovate, turn the ballpark into a workable ballpark, retail and housing, etc. But we need politicians like Barbara Lee in there, and we need more politicians like Johnny Ramachandran, Carol Fikes, Kevin Jenkins, and a few others who are going to work to build Oakland back better.
Okay. And how's your beat of minority business coming along?
We have serious issues here with the gentrification. There just came across my desk today that there's another black business that Oakland is trying to close down that I'm going to find out a little more about because I've just read about it today and got the information on it today. But we are still developing a relationship with Oakland, as does many other cities, develop relationship and economic opportunity that's going to help keep these businesses open. Right now, as we talk about so often, Black Americans spend over $1.5 trillion on the economy. And if we could get a third of that into our own businesses, we wouldn't need any help. And we are the only group of people that does not have the return on the dollar back into our community. And it's shameful.
Mr. Rydell, any questions for Doug?
Doug, how you doing? I've been out to Oakland through the years a couple of times. My sister used to work at, I think it was a Blue Shield of Northern California. And of course, I've been to the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, or whatever it was called now. It's very upsetting when a city loses a major league franchise. So to have them move to Sacramento and Las Vegas, I don't like that. We experienced that here in Baltimore, as everybody knows, with the Colts that left town. So when you're talking about repurposing, you're talking about that stadium, you're talking about the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum and what will become of that?
Yes. Now, I'm sorry I came late. What is your name, sir?
My name is John Rydell from Baltimore.
How you doing, John Rydell?
My sister lives in the Bay Area, so I've been out there, and I don't like when cities lose their franchises. But the goal is, it looks like you have some visionary thoughts about what's going to happen out there.
Well, the key of it is we, as citizens of this city, John, of our city, we have to get involved. The project at the Oakland Coliseum is not a project that was designed and pushed through overnight. Ray Bobbitt, who is a very good friend of mine and who is the president and CEO of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, for now we'll call it AASEG, we've had to go to many city council meetings, Alameda County Board of Supervisors meetings, and push it through. What I'd like to start off by saying, John, when Ray Bobbitt wanted to turn that commercial property, that stadium, into a thriving development that will create jobs in the deep East Oakland, nobody wanted it. But when, and I'm going to be brutally honest, but when a black man wanted to buy it and develop it, and a black group put the money together, Then John Fisher, who owns the Oakland A's, and some other developers tried to come in and take it away. I've sat in, once again, many meetings and made sure that we had a fair opportunity for all people to thrive in America. And that's what we need to do. It's not about black or white. It's about the American dream. And as I tell Donnie all the time, and I tell many young people all the time, we have to get involved politically, because if we don't change the political landscape, look at Washington, D.C. And I get a lot of people telling me now, John, that, well, we can't change anything. Well, we may not be able to change things on a national level right now, but we can change things on a state level, a county level, and a city and community level. And that takes us all getting involved. That takes us all going to city council meetings. That takes us all going to Alameda County Board of Supervisors meeting. I used to be a California delegate, and I was in Sacramento, LA, numerous times over the last decade, promoting and understanding why communities, and specifically low-income communities, don't get all the services that other communities get. And one of the things I've learned doing the political thing is the politicians, they can't get elected unless they get the votes. So what they do is they look at this big map that outlines how many people vote in each district, each city, each area. And I point out every day to young African Americans, to old African Americans such as myself, when I say old, that it ranges from 10 to 30% in low income areas. But when you go into affluent areas, you have anywhere from 75 to 90% voter participation and registration and actual voting. So when the politicians are running, they look at that map. So their thing is, we don't have to do jack for this community because they don't vote. So when you have parks that are devastated, when you have streets that are not clean, when you have police not policing and providing services to those communities, it directly goes back to voting.
Doug, hold that thought for me, Doug.
Okay.
We'll bring in Sharonda Huffman. Sharonda, how are you?
I am wonderful. Good to see everybody.
Sharonda, you're here in Baltimore County. Can you relate to this at all?
Absolutely. I was writing down everything that Mr. Blacksher was saying. I live in a community, I live in Essex, and a lot of people vote against their own interests. And then you have a lot of people that don't vote. We have a growing minority of population in this so quote unquote Republican area. But what I'm finding is some of our communities that might be in a lower income bracket might not be interested in voting as much. So, what I've tried to do over the last year is to do more voter registration and doing more outreach so we can, know that we have to be at the table.
John, Sharonda, did you tell them what you're running for?
No, I didn't go through all that. Well, I'm in Baltimore County, and just in the last election in November, Baltimore County has decided to add 2 more councilmatic districts. So I saw it as an opportunity to run. We thought we had a map, but that's under dispute right now. So I actually wasn't anyone running in my area. And it sounds like that my current council person probably isn't going to run. So, it's a great opportunity in an area that's traditionally been Republican since 2014. So I'm also doing the fight to make sure that we have fair maps because Baltimore County has become almost 50% minority, but we only have 1 Black councilmatic district, and it actually had to go to court last time. So I'm really excited about this opportunity, and I'm still fighting the fight.
John, any questions for Sharonda?
So I guess it's a challenge because there are going to be 2 extra districts, but we don't have final maps yet, and that election and the primary and filing deadline is not all that far away. I mean, how does that play into your strategy?
I think of it differently. I've been out here since last year. You know, I took it upon myself to put my name out there. So I was a DNC delegate, so I was already been on somebody's ballot. The fact that we don't have a map doesn't stop me from campaigning. So those people that wait until the filing deadline, because I've already filed, you know, they're going to be behind, especially in an area where you're going to have a lot of new candidates. So I kind of see it as an advantage, and I don't really want it to go to court. But another thing is currently the councilmatic map that the redistricting commission came up with has me in a BIPOC district, which is Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So that can be an advantage. But if they put me in another district, I think I have a good message and I relate to people. And I told them, you know, it doesn't matter where you put me, I'm still going to run a good race. And you know, I have, you know, some of my my heroes is my stalwart Barbara Lee, who I just saw when I went to yes, she's my sorority sister. I just saw her because I'm an Emerge graduate. And so I went to their 10th anniversary in San Francisco where Kamala Harris was speaking, and I got to see my silver again. I'm gonna miss her in DC.
Can I piggyback off? Can I say something, Donnie?
Yes, sir.
Sharon, is this your first time running?
Yes, it's my first time running.
First off, I want to commend you. One of the things that I've been doing, I've been getting young people to come to city council meeting, Oakland East Bay Democratic Club meeting, and get involved. We got a bunch of old people running this country now. And how's that working? How is that working? Let me tell you briefly a plan for you to successfully win your first run. You need to get that map of who votes in your community and hit the ground running. And in addition to that, you need to hit areas, disadvantaged areas where the the votes are low, and basically take them out there and get them involved. So it's a two-pronged way to win, and that's how Pamela Price, first Black DA for Alameda County, won. She lost her first run, but on her second run, she did some recon. And the recon is look at the map, see who's voting. You may not turn all those votes into your votes, but if you take a piece out of the Asian community, you take a piece out of Hispanic community, you take a piece out of the LGBTQ plus community, all those pieces add up. And that's your key to success. Get out there, go to churches, go to anytime they have community meetings, anytime they have anything that involves a lot of people, be there. So that you are not going to be on the menu, but you're going to be sitting at the table.
Absolutely. I already start doing it.
We also have joining us today Mr. Braxton Street. He's running for office. Braxton, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Glover, for having me. How's it going?
Good, good. Where are you from?
I am from Baltimore City, West Baltimore in particular, candidate for District 40 delegate in Baltimore City.
You're from Baltimore. What high school did you go to?
I went to Poly, sir.
See, Doug, that's a Baltimore question. In Baltimore, we categorize you by what high school you went to.
Well, I got to be honest with everybody on this panel here. I'm thoroughly impressed to see two young people who don't have all this gray hair and have a head full of hair and bright smiles and are under the age of 30 or 40. Because
no, black don't crack. I'm almost 50.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it don't look like it. So whatever you do, keep up the good work.
I got some gray, but I died.
Well, I'm on my cell phone down here in downtown Oakland. I just want to say congratulations to both of you. Get out there, and you just got on. Was it Braxton?
Yes, sir.
You just got on, Braxton. I'll give you the same information I just gave your comrade who's running out there. Get the map. Look at what areas are voting, where the most votes are coming from, and you may not be able to get all the votes. But if if you could take a piece out of each area and let people see you involved. And specifically young people are really discouraged with all these old people. And one of the things I'm doing in Oakland, I'm hitting the liquor stores where we got a lot of brothers and sisters who don't vote. So we have to create new voters. And the people who I'm talking to, I'm telling them we're going down to City Hall. And I'm explaining to them as I'm explaining to you, if we're not sitting at the table, we're on the menu. You have other people making decisions for you. And they're starting to get it. And that needs to be your message, especially to the young people. If you're not sitting at the table, you are on the menu because you're allowing people to vote for you. I mean, to make decisions for you. I'm going to shut up on that note.
John, how long have you been, when did you first get into politics? What was your first election you remember?
You talk about covering elections?
Your first interest in campaigns.
Well,
My first interest, I remember A. Dwight Pettit signs for state's attorney.
All right. Well, I covered Billy Murphy when he ran for mayor against incumbent William Donald Schaefer. That goes back to 1983. And that's a lifetime ago. That was a pretty interesting campaign. And years later, he admitted that he underestimated the charisma of Schaefer, and that he appealed to everybody throughout the city. He was perhaps the right mayor at the right time. But that's the first real campaign that I covered on a regular basis, and then of course gubernatorial campaigns. But it's usually much more interesting at the local level for mayor and county executives. Perhaps a little bit boring, but the legislative races are very important as well, because there's we have a deficit and everything that's going on in DC right now. So, and I'm sure Mr. Streets, you're focused. Is this District 40 for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's a challenge into itself, and we've seen what's going on for quite a while. And I sadly had to cover the unrest there 10 years ago, back in April of 2015, and what happened in the last week or so. It's very troubling. So you certainly understand what's going on, and I'm sure you've got some thoughts and vision about what needs to be done in that district.
Yes, and I remember I was a teacher when the unrest happened, and having to talk to students about that, how to tell my students that this is what happened. How can we avoid a situation like this going forward? And just in the past couple of weeks, all the way to the unfortunate situation that happened with Brother Bilal, to the 2 mass overdoses that happened within the past week. I was out there on the streets, walking that community, bringing resources to people that needed the most. And unfortunately, we've seen this back in 1968. I wasn't alive then, but, I'm aware that there was a similar unrest in 1968. And when you go down to Pennsylvania Avenue today and you see that same intersection, it doesn't look much different than it did back then. So it's now time for people with a heart for the community to go in and to, care about the people first, but do what they need to do to bring about change in our communities.
Now, Sharonda, you didn't have any riots happening out there in your neck of the woods. What issues are you dealing with out there in Essex?
Well, I'm going to say this. Essex is not too far from Baltimore City, and during that time I did work in Baltimore City, but we still deal with the same issues. Just this weekend in my area, we have the teenagers who are fighting at the Walmart, and shots went off. This was in the middle of the day. It's the Walmart I go to. It's a small Walmart, so everybody just goes there. It's in the corner of Carroll Island. So we deal with a lot of juvenile crime. And just like what you said, Braxton, about the overdoses, I took it upon myself. We do have a lot of opioid addiction in Baltimore County. And I think it's very important, what would happen if I was there. So I'm actually going to be taking classes this month to know how to do Narcan and keep it with me, because you never know when you can save a life. We do have some homelessness. We have a lot of, nobody really wants to fix it, but we have a lot of housing needs. We literally have people, get a 3-bedroom apartment and there's a family living in each bedroom. But unfortunately, a lot of our council members are trying to just look away from it. We have a lot of corruption, to me. I don't know if you've been paying attention to IG Gate and our new county executive, Kathy Klossmeyer, who's trying to have influence over a position that's supposed to be non-political. So those are some of the things we're dealing with in Baltimore County. And of course, one of the issues is also dealing with having equity with our redistricting map.
Hey, Doug, out there in California, do you deal with Doug?
Yes, I'm right here.
Have you ever dealt with covering a riot?
Yes, back in 2015, 2014, I think I forgot who had gotten shot, but I was driving down the street, and that's when I was with the NAACP on the executive board, chairman of Labor and Economic Development. I was driving down the street going to an event, and there was a group of kids, a group of people, because there was some older people there. And they came up right up to the car, right up to my truck. And I got out the truck and said, hey, first off, I admire what you guys are doing, but when it comes to advocating for protest, it's good. Unfortunately, 3 or 4 blocks down, it turned unpeaceful. So I went down there and I tried to, it was too many of them to try to break it up, but I was telling them, this is what we're talking about. We have to do the Martin Luther King thing where we must protest peacefully. And these young people have a whole, 10 years later, 11 years later, these young kids, they don't have that same tenacity towards being patient. They want things done. They're tired of hearing about we shall overcome. A lot of these young people are going to overcome quickly or get arrested while trying to overcome.
Okay. So Braxton, tell me about Penn North. Are you pleased with the progress that's being made thus far when it comes to Penn North?
First, I applaud Mayor Scott's response to the overdose situation that's occurring right now in Penn North. I applaud him with the most recent overdose that came this past Friday, where literally,
Braxton, I got to jump on you. There were ODs, and then a week later, that same dope hit back on the street. What is there to applaud in that regard? What am I missing? Help me out, babe.
I'm talking about the response. So initially, that when that meeting happened on Thursday at Gethsemane Baptist Church, and the next day another overdose happened, Mayor Scott was on the street, brought his cabinet together directly at the library on Pennsylvania and North, and told him that this is ground zero now until he says that it's not ground zero again. He trained everybody in that room. I was in that room with him. He trained everybody in that room how to administer Narcan. He put boots on the ground immediately to canvass the streets to help those in need. That is the type of leadership that I believe in, present leadership, as well as someone who is not going to run from a crisis. So I can applaud Mayor Scott for that.
Yeah, Braxton, but I gotta tell you, back in 2015, when the people who were regularly loitering started becoming more and more visible in the drug trade at Penn North, for those of us who live here, we expected to see a lot more investment in Penn North than what we are seeing. And one of the things that came down was the consent decree. You remember the consent decree, John?
Sure, I covered it several times in federal court. Very, very slow, tedious process to reform the police department and their tactics. But yeah.
Did it work, John?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. I mean, any police commissioner will say that there have been some gains in there, and I suppose there have. But the real problem is that you still have an incredible shortage of Baltimore City police officers. I don't know what the vacancy number is now, and as soon as they swear in the new recruits, people can't wait to retire and move somewhere else. A law enforcement officer in the surrounding counties or a sheriff somewhere. So that's one of the biggest problems.
Can I touch on something too? So I used to work in the city. I was worked in the Office of Equity and Civil Rights. So I kind of touched a little bit of everything. But one of the things that I did work on was like disability issues regarding the consent decree. And still today, we have, even in Baltimore County, I think there's different ways to deal with people that are going through mental health crises. So I, that's one of the biggest things that we had an issue with. Is like the response. Sometimes it's like maybe we need to hire more social workers to deal with some of these issues, to be police officers so they can have that power. So even in Baltimore County, there is always going to be an issue with retaining people. It's not always the best work environment. You always have too much overtime. There has to be a balance between work-life balance. And one of the things that one of the candidates running for sheriff is he wants to have the sheriff's office take on a little bit more responsibilities, maybe handle not just evictions, but also deal with like domestic violence issues. So, we have to look at the holistic approach when we're dealing with criminal matters. And maybe the police aren't meant to be called to everything.
Tell me more, Braxton, about the 40th and your campaign for delegate.
So I'm Braxton Street. I'm an educator by trade. Currently, I taught for 7 years in Baltimore City Public Schools, first starting at Walter P. Carter Elementary on the east side, and then ended my teaching career at Furman L. Templeton, right there on Pennsylvania Avenue. Currently, I work in school improvement at district office. But what drew me to this campaign is that this campaign started long ago when I was in the classroom, when I saw my students who, had families that were having trouble making ends meet back in 2014. And you can imagine now in 2025 how that has exponentially gotten worse. And I have a student who was in a family of five students at Walter P. Carter, who was facing food insecurity, housing insecurity, had their lights cut off, everything that what could face a family. They were experiencing it, and they came to the school looking for resources. And as a school team, we were able to help that family. But that got me starting to think, why is this the reality for our students? What can we do to make life better? Over time, the legislature has passed a blueprint for Maryland's future. However, those funds were recently just on the chopping block this past session. And I'm glad that the legislature has staved off chops for now to that funding. But with everything coming out of DC, that funding is in jeopardy even still today. So if we have funding for wraparound supports that can be in jeopardy to balance our budget here in the state, that's a no-go for me. That's one of the reasons why I decided I was going to run as a teacher for delegate in District 40.
Okay, let me get to Doug because I know he has to go. Doug, any thoughts on this president?
Yeah, it's shameful that the first African-American president in the history of this country is being ambushed by this convicted felon. It's shameful. And
What are you talking about, Doug?
well, let's be clear here. There's something wrong with this country. There's something wrong with this country based on the last election, hiring a nitwit, unintelligent, wish he had graduated from Harvard moron. And I hope you have me back on this show, Donnie. I will make sure I do 3:00 West Coast time instead of thinking it's 6:00. But we have to all look at this president and ask ourselves, How did he get in? And how do we make sure another person who has his lack of intelligence, his ignorant personality, his stupidity, and make sure we don't get another president in, because he is tearing this country up. And the only people who are getting rich are his buddies and his cronies and people who are close to him. But I want to say this before I go to the young people, and I say young people, including you, John, the young people who are out there in Baltimore, the same problems you're having on the East Coast, we're having on the West Coast. And we need to put our heads together. And there are some things that I want to share with you on how we are addressing some of those issues. But the first thing we must do is start recalling these elected officials who are doing nothing in our local community. To that end, congratulations to you too. John, it was good meeting you. Donnie, it's always a pleasure being on your show and being a part of your platform. God bless. You all have a good day. Bye-bye.
Good deal.
Thank you.
So, Sharonda, what do you need people to do in your district? What's your district?
We don't know yet, but I live in the, let's say East Baltimore County. So right now it's District 7. But what do I need people to do? I have been coordinating with some local community members, and we are actually having, you know how they started the No Kings protest? Every Saturday, we are out in Dundalk and Essex, and we are saying we are fed up. We are fighting for Medicaid. We're fighting for our children's future. We're fighting for democracy. So, you know, we're out here protesting and we're making people mad, but we're also allowing people to know there are still people out here who are not falling for the okie doke. Okay, so what do I need people to do? I need us to mobilize. We can overcome these things. It's only temporary, but we can't give up. You know, and I am motivated by all. Let me just be honest with you. If a whole bunch of Black people go out here and protest, they'll probably start saying it's a riot. However, in my neighborhood, a lot of the people who are coming to me are allies. And they say, Sharonda, I really want you to win, but I don't want you to bring a whole bunch of people of color out. Let the people, the people who have benefited from all of the discrimination issues that have happened in this area come out and protest. So you will see me, you'll see behind me, the people protest on Saturday are normally older white people. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's going to take them for us to have a change. And that's unfortunate. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to get everybody else to get out and vote. You know, and so, you know, we're going to start talking about that now. And I think I'm going to start doing monthly webinars because nobody pays attention to the council meetings. For me, I was more engaged in Baltimore City politics because that's where I worked. But I realized Baltimore County might be a little bit more messed up than Baltimore City, you know, and so I have been an advocate and calling the people out because a lot of times our council people don't read. We need to pull everybody in and pay attention.
You know, John, she brings to mind a comment from a person who lost to Johnny Ocheski. And they said, we don't want the problems of Baltimore City to become the problems of Baltimore County. Now, that person lost the county executive race, but I wanted to ask that person if they knew that the drug dealers that sell dope, coke, and crack in Baltimore City live in Baltimore County.
Well, and the users, sadly, are driving in from Carroll County as well, and everyone knows that. I had a real quick question for Sharonda. What's the deadline here with the? I mean, everybody.
October.
And so, in terms of finalizing those maps.
So allegedly, it said October the 1st. So I expect the council to hopefully propose a map in August. So it can be approved in September. After that, if it's not going to be an equitable map, I imagine that ACLU and NAACP will be suing. So in reality, you might not get a real map until the end of the year, beginning of the year, but that's okay. Still campaigning.
Braxton, what's your strategy moving forward, given you have incumbents that you have to beat?
Well, Donnie, I'm so glad that you asked that question. What I see right now is I see a District 40 team that overall doing great work. We have a fabulous senator in Senator Antonio Hayes. we have great delegates and Delegate Melissa Wells and Delegate Marlon Ambry, who are bringing home resources to our communities each and every session that they go down there. However, we have a delegate who has been serving for a long time now, who may not have has been as active legislatively or in the community.
But the man's name is gone. He just put his damn name on the ballot and he wins. What you gonna do about that?
And that's the thing, and we've seen that for close to 20 years now.
He's got brand loyalty, man, like Colgate toothpaste, like Tide detergent.
Understood.
Frank Conaway's name is like rolling the dice 7.
Understood. However, that doesn't stop someone like me who is young and hungry from doing what he needs to do, talking to voters each and every opportunity that I get. I'm at community meetings 4 times a week, every week, talking to as many people as I can, meeting people where they are, whether it be in church basements, rec centers, libraries, schools. I'm there.
How many meetings do you see Frank Conaway at?
Unfortunately, I have not seen Mr. Conaway.
You don't see him at none. He put his name on the ballot, and because of the work his daddy did, the boy's name is like magic.
Well, I am glad that
and how people keep voting for that, just like in the 41st district. How do you vote for people who don't represent you?
Well, Mr. Glover, I'm glad that you have me on your program now, because someone will see this. Someone will see the conversation. Someone will start doing their research tonight and throughout this whole election season, and they will hopefully see that, we have a delegate who has served for 20 years, who has not been as effective as he should be.
Damn, 20 years? I ain't never seen that cat in the street. Okay, Sharonda, what do you like to carry the executive out there? You got Julian Jones, you got Izzy Patoka, you got Pat Young.
I'm going to say something that you're probably not going to agree with. I've been watching the council meetings ever since the first incident with Kathy Madigan, the Inspector General, and it was ugly. And then I'm looking at everything that's happening now, and all this councilmatic courtesy. I don't see anyone doing anything great, and I like everybody. Mostly that's a Democrat. I love all the Democrats, but I'm probably not going to be supporting any of them, because if they were doing what they were supposed to do, we wouldn't be in the situation we are now. So there is another candidate, Nick Stewart, and Nick Stewart has been working with me regarding housing issues. He actually is using the same people that Wes Moore has had. So just be on the lookout. See, Wes Moore was polling like at 3% in the very beginning, because when I went to Aisha Brave Boyd's inauguration, she talked about that. Sometimes you have an underdog that's coming out of nowhere. That might be what's best, because we've been going in the wrong direction.
So, Braxton, are you able to work across the aisle? Because as I think of the 40th District, Coppin State, the West North Avenue Development Authority, Republicans actually started investment in West North Avenue under Bobby Ehrlich in 2002. Can you work with Republicans?
I love the question, and unequivocally the answer is yes. As a teacher, you work with a little bit of everybody. You work with, different students. I taught kindergarten through grade 5, across the gambit. You work with parents. You work with school staff, administration. You work with your community members. You talk to everyone. And great policy is crafted by not only talking to everybody, but listening to where everybody comes from. My mother used to tell me, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth so that you can listen twice as much as you speak. So the answer is yes. I can work across the aisle, because I will listen to anybody and talk with everybody.
John, you want to jump in here?
Well, I've never heard that phrase, but that's pretty interesting. 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yeah.
I heard the one that said a hard head lead to a soft hind parts.
I heard that one too, Donnie.
Well, I mean, I guess the key in running for office is you got to go out there, but you also have to listen to the prospective voters. What's on your mind? What's on your mind, and what haven't the incumbents done? Are you happy with them? And maybe that's a strategy that newcomers should adopt, because a lot of times, the answer that you're going to get is no, I haven't seen them in a meeting or whatever, and incumbents take a lot for granted.
Well, Mr. Rydell, every conversation I have with a community member, the first question is always, how are you doing? Don't just tell me what you want to see out of my performance or what you've seen from the current legislators. I want to know how you are doing as a person, because once you understand what that person has gone through, you're able to relate to that person. You're able to, listen with empathy and care for that person, because this job is about people. This job is about community. And, that's what we need more of. Legislatures who have a base in the community that they live in, who have connections with the people that they represent, and who listen to those people and bring their ideas to the halls of power. Because Mr. Blacksher did say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And my job is to bring the voices of my community members, my neighbors, to the table so that we're not on the menu.
What can
I
you
say
do?
something?
I just want to ask Braxton, what can you do for Poly? Last I checked, y'all had an issue at Poly with no air in the warmer months and no heat in the colder months.
Well, that's and Poly's just not the only school. It's unfortunately in many Baltimore City public schools right here in 2025. And that is what I'm talking about, education funding. We cannot cut funds from public schools because the majority of this city's students attend public schools. And it's just interesting.
I know, Braxton, but they told us back in 1973 that the Maryland State Lottery would provide money for education. We have since gotten a new football stadium, a new baseball stadium, and the football stadium recently got renovated, but yet we have schools. John, $15 billion has come through this lottery, but we have schools in Baltimore City without air or heat. That's despicable, John.
It is.
Well, when they remember when they had the voter referendum to expand gaming, that a lot of that money was supposed to go to public education. And you look back and like, okay, well, how much really did? Even when Sheila Dixon was mayor and they were talking about the proposed horseshoe casino, she said, well, we'll have enough revenue to lower the property tax rate. There's a lot of promises being made by governors, mayors, and a lot of other people, but it's just compounded by what is going on in DC. And so whoever is running, these are tough times, but someone's got to step up and say, okay, we can't count on the federal government, the Trump administration. How are we going to handle all of this? And Governor Moore's right in the middle of all of it.
And as a student in Baltimore City Public Schools, I remember those early release days where we had to leave school because of heat. And then as a teacher between 2014 and 2021, not only was I a teacher in some of those classrooms with no air conditioning and no heat, it's how do you explain that to students that the place where they come to for respite, for education, for fun, for enhancement in their learning, it's not a safe place for them to be. And it's time for a teacher to be at the table, to watch and monitor and to make policy so that another school does not have a situation where there's no air, no heat.
And what about you, Sharonda? Baltimore County, y'all can't keep people in place. They rotate school superintendents out there like it's musical chairs.
Well, we've been having the same superintendent. They try to go after her. But to your point, Braxton, we do have to be more depending on our local, our state, and our local government. One of the things that I had been working with, and I had got Johnny Oates' office to to look at is there has been a bill out there called the National Infrastructure Bank. And so basically it's a opportunity for there to be funds that local government can get loans for, like a like a fund is like the National Infrastructure Investment Corporation. So you would invest money into this fund and then you get loans from it. But it would be outside of the federal government, because if the federal government no longer wants to subsidize building projects in schools and things of that nature, then we have to kind of think about different ways to do that. Now, previously it was a bipartisan bill. There are so many things going on right now. There is an organization, actually the state legislature had passed the bill that they do support the National Infrastructure Fund, because we have to think about different ways to fund some of these projects. Part of the reason why Baltimore City's air conditioners don't work, if you have a messed up infrastructure, I noticed working in housing and community development, you can't possibly put a whole new air conditioning system in, because you might blow up the place. So it's like sometimes you just need a new building, so that's how bad the things are. So it's not just that easy. And that's another thing, talking about Penn North, the library system. I was the ADA coordinator, and like they can't even get a new elevator in there, because they're going to have to just, because it's so old. So we have crumbling infrastructure, and we really don't have a way out right now. So a lot of people, I think Doc Cheatham is going to be having like a protest soon because of the conditions of the library. So.
Wow. Braxton, how can people support your campaign?
Well, thank you so much for answering that question. I'm ready and willing to, come back to your show whenever you'll have me to continue the conversation with you. But folks can, visit electbraxtonstreet.com, and on that page you'll see all my social media and my phone number. I'll give my phone number to anybody. It's 443-379-4252. The phone stays on 24 hours a day. I'll answer the phone at 2:00 in the morning. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to talk, I'm here to listen.
What's your phone number again?
443-379-4252.
Sharonda, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I have a website that has all of my has my phone number and all of my social media, but it's SharondaHuffman.com, Sharonda Huffman HUFFMAN.com. And I would love to have more followers. I do plan on to have some more webinars and in-person events. And one thing I wanted to say before, in my district, we've had an absentee council person. So what I had to start doing is doing like old school. Old school Johnny O used to have meetings in the library, and some people are not connected with the community association. So how do you reach them? So I want to be a little bit different in the way that I do outreach through webinars, because a lot of people are not going to community meetings, and the only people that show up are going to be the people who have time, who are engaged. Because I know when I was raising my little kids, I didn't really have time for a whole bunch of stuff. You're just trying to raise your family. So it's very important that that I do attend like community meetings that are just at the schools, go to senior centers, not just the community associations.
Yeah. John, how do we get more people involved in the political process?
Well, I mean, in Baltimore County, at least, there's going to be more publicity about the maps. There's a lot of controversy already about, we covered this a year ago. We talked about it. That all of a sudden, Izzy Patoka said, well, here's the bill and here's a map. And everybody said, well, wait a minute, was the cart before the horse or something like that? And I thought, well, okay, you've approved, the voters approved the 2 extra districts, and then you sit down. So good, bad, or whatever, that publicity may help people say, well, I don't know who's representing me. There's a lot of people. I mean, I live out in Northwest Baltimore County, but there's a lot of people that don't even know who their council person is, because it does change, and it's changed where I am. So it does, and then once we get the maps, the new maps, there'll be more people out there. And it's too early for the average person right now. They're again, as you've said, they're just trying to, keep their job and pay the rent, and worry that if you're on Medicare, Medicaid, it's not going to be cut off, that kind of thing. But as you get into the next year, hopefully there'll be more stories, more publicity about all of this, and then you can capitalize on that. But the groundwork is obviously has to be done now.
Do you think Westmore has any competition next year?
No. I mean, people can talk all they want, but he's an incumbent, and no Democrat's going to be able to defeat him in the primary. And I think we talked a week ago about the former governor Larry Hogan. Will he get in the race?
He does like a breaststroke. He lifts his head up every now and then, and he puts
Well,
his head up.
Maybe he's hoping that more and more people will convince him to run, but I think he's 69 years old. If he got into the race, then it would be interesting. But these are different times than when he ran. As we've talked about, he ran against the O'Malley's lieutenant governor, Anthony Brown, and then in the second term, he ran against Ben Jealous. So this is different. Larry Hogan may be a two-term governor, but he will be running against an incumbent Democrat in Maryland, where the registration for Democrats is at least 2-1. This is totally different than when he ran before.
And Alsobrooks spanked him. So
Hogan lost to Alsobrooks by 12.
Yeah. And a lot of people a year ago, but they weren't so sure. They thought, well, with Hogan's experience, he may have won, and Maryland bucked the national trends. So yeah, I mean, as of right now, I can't imagine that Westmore would not win re-election.
Good deal. Folks, we have to come back, and I apologize for being tardy today, but we'll be back 6 p.m. next Wednesday. We hope that you will continue to join us. Any final thoughts before we go?
Thank you for having me back on. Bring me back again.
Mr. Glover, this is my first time on your show. I hope to be invited back again. Thank you so much.
Well, at least you got your sign up. Next time we're gonna work on that sign a little bit.
Okay.
Well, it was nice to chat with you guys, and the best of luck to you. It's a tough fight, but that's why you're there. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rydell.
For the challenge.
Braxton, I got $5 for you if you can repeat the quadratic equation.
It's been so long for me. I'm gonna lose that $5. I'm sorry.
I had to go to
A
summer
squared
school.
plus B squared plus C squared or equal. I forgot it.
X equals negative B plus or minus.
I think I was giving you the Pythagorean theorem. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Education is important. Thank you all for joining us. I appreciate you all. Thank you, John.
Okay, enjoyed it.
Sharonda, Braxton, have a great day.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Good evening, world.